You're not stuck because you need a better plan. You're stuck because you haven't let reality teach you anything yet. Learning to fail more often is, weirdly enough, one of the best ways to exponentially increase your progress. When we care about something we're building, whether it's a business or a creative project, it's natural to want the best possible outcome. The common wisdom here is to make a plan. Measure twice, cut once, be methodical. That's the mode society deems correct. If you've ever tried to map out a big project into actionable steps and clear calendar events, it feels good. It feels like you're working towards a goal. But planning has this major flaw that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. Planning can only organize the information you already have. It can't generate new information. Only action can do that. Don't get me wrong, planning is useful and it beats rushing in recklessly most of the time, but it can become this paralytic trap. You plan, you need more information, you research, you write, you erase, you overthink, you panic, and then you freeze. Suddenly, this very manageable project has become this mountain of uncertainty and doubt. That's because a plan doesn't take into account two very critical things. One, humans, by and large, are really poor estimators of time and effort. And two, the world is chaotic and unpredictable. So instead of making a plan, I want you to get comfortable failing faster. But we're not just going to be failing at random, we're going to be failing in iterations. These are structured, quick experiments where your idea makes contact with reality immediately and you learn something new just as fast. US fighter pilot John Boyd taught this same concept to elite US Air Force pilots. Boyd was trying to solve a very specific problem here. How do you make good decisions when the situation is changing faster than any plan can keep up with? Imagine being in a dogfight between two fighter jets. Your opponent is moving. You're moving. You have 8 minutes of fuel left in the tank depending on how you move. Your field of vision is very limited. Every decision you make either creates an advantage or gives that advantage away. You can't just stop in the middle of the fight and spend 3 hours researching the perfect maneuver. And even if you could, the situation would be very different by the time you finished. Your plan is finished when the fight begins. Boyd realized that success in this environment belonged to the person who can make a decision, act on it, and adapt faster than the opponent can react. He called this the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. First, you observe. Take in what's happening without judgment. What is actually happening around you. Not what you hoped would happen or what you predict will happen next. Stay open, detached, and fully present. What do you see, hear, and sense? Then you orient. This is the most important part of the loop according to Boyd. You interpret what you observed using your experience, your assumptions, your intuition, and the context around you. Observation gives you the raw facts. Orientation gives you the meaning and structure behind them. Then you decide. Based on all the information you have, what is the next best single action you can take? Next one step, not next 10 steps. What is the next one thing you can do? And then you act. You take one action, you observe those results, and then the loop starts again. This is where chronic overthinkers get it wrong. They keep observing, they keep orienting, they keep collecting information like Smaug hoarding treasures under the mountain. They are looking for certainty before they make their next move, but the certainty never comes. At some point, you gotta place a bet. And the OODA loop works. These fighter pilots were winning battles by going through this loop several times every minute. Observe, orient, decide, act. And every one of these loops made them slightly sharper, slightly less wrong. Pilots who executed more correct actions per minute were beating opponents that couldn't adapt as fast. Actions per minute, or APM, might be a term you've heard of before if you've played really demanding video games like StarCraft, League of Legends, Super Smash Bros., or really any fighting game. The OODA loop, as we'll discuss, isn't exclusive to fighter pilots. Every frame in a game is like its own loop. Take Street Fighter for example. Observe. The opponent is full screen. I have 30% health. He has 2 meters working on a third. I know the opponent has access to an invincible option on Wake Up. The opponent is knocked down. Orient. I know that at this level of play, it's more common to wake up and press a button than to wake up and block. I know my opponent likes to get up in place instead of rolling backwards, and I've practiced different setups that I can use here. Decide. I will dash in and crouch block, see if I can bait out a dragon punch for a punish. Act. I do it, see how he responds, and then adapt accordingly. These OODA loops are everywhere, and the better you get at them, the faster you can progress towards your goals. This framework doesn't just apply to warfighting or video games either. It was so successful that it was co-opted into business, creative projects, and personal development. Currently, medical schools are changing the way they operate to include more hands-on clinical simulation and fewer lectures. A 14-study meta-analysis reveals that the simulation-based learning beat out traditional clinical education by a wide margin. In this case, running simulations where failure is tolerated instead of, rolling the dice on live patients was the preferred outcome. The lower failure stakes meant that students could fail safer, get new information, and then iterate faster, thus gaining practical experience much easier. I'm even doing this in my own personal life. See, this is the first video where I've ever properly introduced myself. I'm Blake, and the channel is Soul Solidus. I've always wanted to make a creative project like a YouTube channel for so long, and I always got stuck in the planning phase. Thumbnails, music, animation, audio, transitions, they all had to be planned and optimized before I ever hit the ground. This need for planning masked a fear of failure that I recently uncovered. What if it's not good enough? What if people don't like it? These were all the things that I was avoiding by excessively planning. If you're seeing this video now, that means that the OODA loop is working. Instead of aiming for perfection, I'm aiming for 100 of these videos. Yes, 100. 100 loops, 100 little experiments, 100 opportunities to grow and learn. So far, we're on loop number 3, and I can tell you I've learned infinitely more than I would have by just planning and researching. If you want to join me for 97 more of these, stay tuned. Otherwise, you've got a job to do. Whatever you're planning, a career change, an exercise regimen, or even a creative project of your own, I want you to do one loop today. Observe your surroundings, orient yourself using what you already know, decide to do something, and then do it. Just do it. Get one rep in, one paragraph written, whatever it is, just start. Once you take that action, you'll have new information for your next loop. One loop leads to 2, 2 leads to 10, and let me tell you, you get 100 of these loops in, and you'll go further than you ever thought possible. That's my promise to you. That's what I'm here to prove. See you next time, fellow seeker.